Screen time salutations to all you internet dwellers out there, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I am joined, as always, by Keelan. How's it going, bro?
I am doing fantastic, marvelous. Even I don't know how many words I could think of, but just doing great. Had a great day.
That's stupendous. There's another one, and we got Dejan here. How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing very good.
Oh, good. Are you
feeling good too?
That's wonderful. That's all we can ask for on a Sunday evening as the weekend draws to a close. We wanted to hit you guys up with another Sunday night episode, and thank you so much for tuning in. We very much appreciate it. If you feel so inclined to leave us comments on this video while we're live, and we might respond to it. Other than that, also perhaps a thumbs up and a subscription to our YouTube page would be very helpful. But with not much further ado, let's get into it. Today, we wanted to discuss the 2004 movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It was directed by Michel Gondry, and it's starring Jim Carey, Kate Winslet, a couple other people, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Kirsten Dunst. And the story was written by Charlie Kaufman, Michel Gondry, and Pierre Bismuth. And I don't know. I mean, I could get into the little synopsis of the story, but I want to get my co-hosts' opinions because I've actually seen this movie and it's one of my favorites, but Dejan and Keelan had not seen it. So I want to focus this review on their sort of thoughts. But before we get to what they think, I'll just give you a brief little synopsis here. Basically, the movie is about Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet and this concept of being able to erase people from your mind, particularly people that you loved or love or once loved. And it takes us through a relationship between Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet and the consequences of erasing somebody from your memory. I don't think I'll go too farther deep into that because there's a lot to talk about here. So I'm going to pass it off to my co-hosts now because, again, this is the first time they've seen it. Keelan, off the bat, what are your opening thoughts?
Opening thoughts. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. Go do that. Perfect name. Either the writing was perfect or the acting was perfect, or it was just a perfect match of all of the above, timing, place. I don't know, but I really enjoyed this movie. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. And I made an effort to not watch any trailers or get any understanding of what I was walking into. So there were moments that I was extremely confused, but when I was able to put those dots together, it was like a flavor explosion of goodness.
I like that. Yeah, and there is a little bit of confusion in the way the story is laid out. It's not a very linear story. It kind of jumps around a couple times. You're also dealing with scenes that are out in the real world and then scenes that are in Jim Carrey's mind. So it's kind of hard to differentiate, but the great thing about good storytelling, Game of Thrones writers, is that at the end of the movie, you understand everything they were doing. And, it makes it feel like it's satisfying, allowing yourself to be confused for a little bit to get the answers a little bit later. That's usually kind of the way I like to think about it. But Dejan, your kind of opening thoughts? Let her rip, Dejan.
I'm just going to say...
You could be critical if you'd like.
I'm going to be critical by just saying this. That movie made me want to do this.
It made you want to eat a donut?
Man.
Well, what about it? Is it donut specifically or just made you want to eat?
It's delicious. That movie was
delicious.
Fucking delicious.
Okay. I get it now. Thanks.
Props to work today.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind today, so you have to lay things out for me a little bit.
I think I just literally got through watching it about an hour and a half ago. And you know what? It was depressing, but very satisfying and very heartfelt at the same time. And the reason why I did that with the donut, I had to literally, I took my kid out, walked to the donut shop. I wanted a donut because I was like, you know what? I need a pick me up
Yeah, right.
just for that. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm going to do this on air. And I'm like, I'm going to do this because I think we're going to need that comedic relief just to help. I'm like, I want to watch her do something funny right after that movie.
Right.
I think that's fair. It is definitely a somber movie. And a lot of the tones are very kind of depressing too. I would agree. But there's also this sort of beauty underneath it that I really kind of appreciate. It definitely focuses on the flaws of human relationships. And I think that's a really kind of important thing. And what this movie really just addresses is the concept, or the quote that we've always heard, is it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. And going through the movie, you see Joel, Jim Carrey's character, realizes that his girlfriend Clementine had erased him from her mind, and basically before the preamble is like 15 minutes long, but then it jumps you right into Joel dealing with the fact that he's just been erased from Clementine's mind. And of course he decides that he needs to do the same because, like, screw her, like I'm going to go do it too, because I can't live with the pain of this relationship, especially knowing that somebody was able to just wipe it out of existence for them. But yeah, I mean, do you guys, Keelan, is there particular points that you wanted to talk about? I think we can kind of jump around with this because it's not exactly a linear story. So let's jump into it.
Indeed. Some of the hot points for me, the fact that it's Valentine's Day, how relevant Valentine's Day is to this story. And it takes a minute to really understand that. Though that was a big thing for me, just the whole Valentine's Day situation, the plot. When you go and read about the plot and you go and read what this movie is about, one of the things that it says in the description that really lends to this movie and it helps you understand the movie is it's about breakups, breakdowns, and breakthroughs. And we had every single stage of that in this movie. So the Valentine's Day thing for me is, kind of one of those, it's a relationship trope in every movie. So once you get that part through your head that Joel wakes up, it's Valentine's Day. When Joel met Clementine, it's Valentine's Day, which is also the day that his lady didn't go with him down to the beach with a group of friends. The day that he realized, they end up back together is Valentine. No, excuse me. It is. It's either Valentine's Day or it's a day or two before, something in that area. It's how it became really relevant when you look at it in hindsight. But from the very beginning, it was how Joel, walking through the path of Joel going through what he thought was just a normal day for him. Of, I decided to play hooky from work. I went and I journaled. I miss Naomi. And that's a big thing as well. There were times where I started to think if Naomi and Clementine were the same person, but you realize that had Naomi been anything like Clementine never would have come into the picture, because Clementine definitely would have been at a beach event. So, there's a lot to connect. There's a lot to bring up. Excuse me. And there's also the way that they skip through Joel's memory of Clementine and their experiences. That was just amazing for me. So I'll stop there and then we can really get deeper. How about you, Dijon?
I agree. Like, jumping into this movie, I was like, all right, I did like what you said earlier. We watched no trailers. I didn't read any synopsis. I didn't do any of that. I was just like, all right, I'm going to jump into this. So by jumping into it, that first 15 minutes, I was just like, wow, that shit kind of blew me. And the first thing that came to mind from him being spontaneous and decided, I'm just going to take a trip. And when he does that by jumping on the train and everything, and to just getting to that point to where she's like, I want to come back to your place and just sleep. Let me go grab my toothbrush, and et cetera, et cetera. and just that moment where you first see Elijah Wood, and I'm just like, by him like saying like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Right.
First thing that came to my mind, and I was like, and he's just like kind of lost, and I'm like, I'm a little lost right now. I'm like, oh shit, is he imagining like the perfect girl based off him being not so spontaneous or just not, just the polar opposite of what he is. I thought he was like literally like imagining this, just to cope with, this breakup as he spoke about this girl. So I was just like, And after that, I was just like, what the fuck? And then that whole time skip, I'm like, well, I guess it didn't work out.
Right. Well, and I think that's a question I have for you guys. Did you guys see what was happening, or did you guys get what was happening in the first 15 minutes, or was that like, okay, what the hell just happened? Because it kind of harsh cuts to him crying in the car, and then you're like, wait, like what the hell just happened there? So did you guys did that throw you off a little bit too much, or was it like, okay, I think I kind of know what's going on?
So for me, it's great you asked that. For me, it literally went from this guy who just woke up having a slow but rough day, and meeting this great girl, and how, like this natural love story. And I was like, okay, where's the apex or the downside? Where does this go bad? Because this isn't a 3-hour movie, and we're talking about 15 minutes of movie time. So I'm really like, okay, I like this. Where are we going? So when they cut from Patrick and his confusion, and he's kind of like looking like, hey, where is she? And boom, now he's crying and he's going through it. I felt the exact same thing. And I can't say I knew exactly what was going on, but I figured we had took a switch in time. Okay. The problem is I thought the time had jumped forward when the time had jumped backwards.
Right.
And it took me a minute to gain that realization.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, that's kind of what took me in the first place, especially for this story. I feel like it's really kind of perfect that it's not linear, because your memories aren't really linear. They're kind of scattered about. And so the way that this story plays out is a little bit more scattered, which I definitely really appreciate. But of course, Joel learns that Clementine has erased him from her memory. And he decides to go investigate this company, Lacuna, that does mind erasing stuff. So you guys want to take it from there?
John?
Yeah, I thought it was from that point, I was like, I thought it was kind of crazy, because when he went to his friend's place, talking to him and his wife,
Tobias.
I thought it was interesting, because I had to rewind it a bit. I was like, wait, what the hell? Like with the whole card, like for a split second you see her name, then it just disappears. Like, okay. Then I'm thinking, well, this dude is going to go get therapy, because beyond how he is an individual, like he might need therapy. He might be a little bit wacko. But I'll tell you guys this, just a slight tangent. I watched this on Amazon Prime.
Same.
And I'll tell you this,
fucking commercials.
The fucking commercials.
I know.
Fucking commercials threw me off.
I know that's where you were going.
I really hated that.
It fucked up my whole mood, bro. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
In that sense, for me, I was just like, the commercials fucked me up. In a sense, I thought the commercials were part of the fucking movie.
Right.
Like by the third one, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The third one was like damn near seamless. It's like, okay, wait. Oh, this is a commercial. I can go give me something to drink.
For those that don't know, I don't recommend watching it on Amazon Prime. I had no clue, because most stuff on Amazon doesn't have commercials. And this apparently had like 4 120-second commercials in it. And I was,
no, one of them was about 180 seconds.
Oh my god, dude.
I almost wanted to go back and literally write down how long each break was. Not because, listen, we pay for Amazon Prime already, guys, so we're not talking about some free application, right? That's one. Two, okay, fine, you have to charge for certain things. If it's free, let it be free. Free with ads isn't free. That's telling me that I'm using a free app that I'm not paying for. But hey, Amazon, Who am I? Just a customer.
Right.
But yeah, so that's what we're complaining about for those who really don't understand that side of what we're saying. Because I knew you were going there, Dejan, because I seen it. It was like it was almost like a road flare in the road, and it was like, oh, he's picking that up.
Yeah,
I can help it. It bugged me, and then when I started getting Verizon commercials, I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, see, I didn't get that deep. I'm not gonna go in on the commercials like that. I didn't get that deep.
Yeah,
I do want to mention because you asked about, just the whole process and him going through it as far as Joel.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a few things about the whole memory, the way he figured it all out. I dislike that. Well, no, I'm not even going to say that. I like two things. I like one thing specifically, which is this. They were so far ahead of the game in 2004 with this whole trying to beep, basically with memories. And I like the whole process they went through of literally, hey, no, you bring everything that reminds you of her, every memory. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make a whole 18 hours of it. So you're not thinking about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to assist us in our, I thought that was so well thought out.
Yes.
That was so well thought out.
Absolutely.
I did like that aspect of it, but I'm like, this shit's going to blow up. And it did. It did in the most twisted way I wasn't even really thinking of. And to the point with Kristen Dunst's character and the old doctor from Door. I don't know his name, but I'm going to call him the old doctor from Door.
Merzwiak or whatever.
Yeah.
Merzwiak. The only thing I remember is him running ass naked in Dark World. And that little twist, I was thinking to myself, like, I love the whole movie. I was like, was that needed? But I was like, you know what? It actually was needed. And it was an actually needed twist.
Perfect.
It had a small tangent, but it brought things into full circle even more so. Because I was sitting there thinking to myself, when they're in the room and she's reciting these quotes, and I can see like either he's keen on to she's high, or he's just like
thought that too.
Oh yeah, he was acting very awkward around her. Yeah.
And it seemed like, and I think what we see at the end of the movie, when basically like he's just shutting down shop altogether because this treatment honestly looks like it doesn't work.
Right.
And it seems like there's certain phrases and things that trigger some type of meltdown in the head, and we kind of see that with the Clementine character.
Oh,
and she was just like freaking out.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that I'm like, you get to see all these, tidbits of his memory with her.
Right.
Then you see it come to the end, like they were drawn to each other no matter what.
Yeah.
Because of these experiences.
Exactly.
It looks like they were both either somewhat kind of stalking each other in a sense, which was great.
Mm-hmm. I think it touched on the whole soulmate theory.
For sure.
Without me going too deep on that, I also wanted that second thing that I really liked before I forget. Great friends, like the friend Rob, bro. Do you know how many other people they've done this procedure to and nobody's ever done that?
Right. Yeah. Nobody's ever shown the person that they've been erased. Yeah.
Right. I mean, even the other, but I thought that was his sister, but I guess their other friend, his wife. No, I'm never gonna, like, they're having a whole ass argument about it. Like, what kind of a friend is she? And that's how that's his boy. Like,
right. Yeah.
That was real. But to the depth of just the soulmate theory, you also consider they're going in and erasing memories, right? So something my wife said, and this was just brilliant, and she's brilliant, but hey, what do I know? When you're deleting memories, so what you're doing is you're leaving like blank spots. You're leaving like open orifice, open cavities in the memory. Now the brain naturally heals itself. That means memories, things like that. Like you're naturally trying to get that stuff back. Right. So naturally, your brain's going to try to fill in those pockets. So anything that's going to resemble or go back. That's why even with Patrick trying to use all of Joel's information to land Clementine was driving her nuts because she's like, all of this makes perfect sense, but it doesn't make sense with you.
That and he was a total scumbag.
He was a total scumbag. He was an absolute scumbag.
So I have not seen Elijah Wood in so many movies besides That show he did on Netflix was Wilfred.
Wilfred, yeah. That was good.
Yeah, it was good.
I don't know why
I
that
haven't
was so
seen
good.
all of it. That was canceled too. I'm like
Mhm.
a couple of episodes that I was like, damn, why'd you guys cancel it?
I didn't watch it till they canceled it. What do you want from me?
No worries. I mean, no judgment. I still got to watch the whole season. I mean, the whole series.
Word.
And I was like, dude, you bringing that whole creepy vibe. Like the last time I seen him play a creepy role was fucking
Sin City. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the exact same thing I thought. I was like, this is the creepiest Elijah Wood has been since Sin City.
But this was before Sin City too, wasn't it?
Yes, it
like
was.
2 or 3 years before. So maybe this is what got him that role.
Maybe.
I'll tell you this. I wouldn't be surprised why we don't see him in enough roles because people are about like, you know what, nah, dude. Fuck
right.
Too creepy, man.
He's too good at his job.
Yeah. Well, here's a question I have for you guys because I thought about this and pertaining to Lacuna and the sort of company that erases people's memories. And one of the techs of Lacuna happens to be Mark Ruffalo, a very young Mark Ruffalo. And I thought, is this an unofficial Marvel movie? Is this Bruce Banner before he becomes Bruce Banner working on gamma radiation to wipe memories?
Hey, man, we can always do it with the multiverse ahead. Coming into play.
I kind of thought about that because, like, you know, they put the big thing on Joel's head and it looks like he's getting like radiated in his brain. I'm like, what if he's like working with gamma rays, like a gamma ray helmet? Yeah. And then after Lacuna folds, he has to reinvent himself.
Kristen Dunst too, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. She goes and becomes Mary Jane. Yeah.
She does okay, so here's my question. Correct me if I'm right or wrong on this. They are in New York, correct?
Yes, outside of New York.
Like
sure.
like
probably in like Buffalo or something like that, you know, like a you know, an outside more rural area.
I thought Buffalo was never mind.
Oh yeah, well, because they go to Montauk, which is just upstate New York along the coast. I believe.
No, correct. Yeah, you're right. They were talking about Montauk, so that would make sense. I was just gonna say I thought Buffalo was majority black, but hey, what do I know?
There's some white people. Jim Carey's there. There you go.
This is post after Bring It On for Kristen Dunst.
Oh gosh,
after what she did with college.
Yes, and actually, this is one of the first movies where we get the concept of the manic pixie dream girl. I think this is the first time Kate Winslet. I mean, I think she pioneered this type of like archetype. You see it later with Garden State with Natalie Portman. Then you have like Zooey Deschanel plays a lot of those types of characters. And I think there's an interesting juxtaposition between, because Dejan mentioned this earlier, between the two personalities. You know, like Joel is so uptight and just like doesn't want to. I mean, he's pretty boring, as right. Clementine says, and you know, Clementine's a mess. So it's kind of like I think there's an interesting juxtaposition. I think that juxtaposition really amplifies this concept of like, okay, well, you know, you can't really choose who you fall for, right. You know, and sometimes the person you fall for isn't the best person, but are you going to stop yourself from having a relationship, an experience, you know?
And it feels like we kind of see that at the very end of the movie with that last dialogue.
Mm-hmm. For sure, we see that at the end. No, for sure. No, there's no breaking that. And I don't think you even ruined anything with that for anyone.
No.
But here's the reality, right? When you really love or care about or you're meant to be with somebody, and I know this is going to sound really cliche and really cheesy. I truly believe, like, you know, you have people that are always talking about they're looking for their perfect someone. They looking for you too. So live life. You know what I mean? And the whole point, and one of the major points in this for me was, it was the day, like Joel is a closed off, quiet, really to himself, boring ass person. And the day he decided not to be a boring ass person, he met his perfect opposite.
Right.
While he's currently thinking about being with someone else. Now in real life, I don't think things work out that way, but in movies, they always work that way. Perfectly so. And I'm glad, because we need that feeling of not of perfection, but that feeling of balance, that feeling of equalness. There's somebody else out there that's trying as hard as I am to find that person. And I think that's one of the other things that this lent to, because excuse me, something I found very interesting when you get to Joel and Clementine, they start having actual dialogue in his head with one another. Now, I don't think that's her consciousness or anything, but it's the reality of in your head, you can embody it, like the same thing Wanda did with Vision. You get to know someone so well, you can rebuild them mind, body, and soul. The only thing you can't do is, give them their independence, so to speak. And I think we saw a good portion of that also with their dialogue. It reminded me a lot, especially the dream sequences, the jumping from this scene to this scene. And it reminded me of, I don't know if you guys ever saw the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, it's Heath Ledger's last film, in fact. That movie, the effects on that was done so well that I think it was like Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and it was 3 people, Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and someone else.
I forget who, but there was one more person in there.
Jeez, I want to say it was the guy from, he and Jamie Foxx are in that movie where he's in jail and he murdered people. One of you guys know what I'm talking about. Either way, he gets in a lot of bar fights and he was in 300. So basically, it reminds me of that movie. Yes, Gerard Butler.
Oh, okay.
They all were able to jump in and sub in. And because of the effects and how well the effects were done, there were times in the movie where you didn't know if you were looking at Heath Ledger or Jude Law or Gerard Butler or Johnny Depp. You didn't know. What you knew is, this is some really great acting I'm witnessing right here. And some really great hard work put into the post-prod.
Yeah.
I got that out of this movie. Like, not only did they do a lot of work on set, but I believe that on the back end of that, to make it so seamless, like hopefully someone somewhere at least appreciates that I noticed that, because I thought it was brilliantly done.
There's actually a lot of stuff that I noticed just watching it again with kind of fresh eyes. It's been a while since I had seen it, and the score is really good. I love the music. The intro music is really good. The song by Beck is really good. I also noticed the lighting was really good. Like, they do so much with lighting and trying to make you feel like you're in somebody's head. Like, I noticed that in a lot of the Jim Carrey's head scenes, it would be dark, but then there would be a spotlight on Jim Carrey.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it made you feel like you were inside somebody's head, like, really. And I really much appreciated the cinematography and, even the storytelling, even the editing,
everything.
It makes you think that the editing is crappy, but then you realize why it's edited like that. And you're like, oh, okay.
That's brilliant.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think that there's not just the acting, but I think all around there's just a lot of really, really great work done here.
Really quick, with you bringing up the spotlight, it makes me think that I should have done a little more homework, because it makes me think this could even be the same crew or somewhat of the same crew that they worked with or he worked with for Man on the Moon, because that was almost like right in line with a scene from there, that spotlight scene. I remember.
Well, it's written by Charlie Kaufman, and I believe Charlie Kaufman's related to Andy Kaufman.
That would make perfect sense.
So there's a connection.
High probability. Sure.
Most of the movie is spent inside Joel's head, and kind of at the beginning you see him getting deleting some of the newer memories that he's had with Clementine, and you kind of see like backwards, a relationship backwards, where it's like the first memories that are deleted are the ones where they're fighting, and they're not really like feeling each other, and they're kind of not really happy with each other. And then as far, more and more he goes back, the farther they delete, the happier the memories get. And that's when Joel kind of like his mind switches and he's like, holy shit, I don't want to lose these memories.
Right.
It's like, and I think that's a really kind of like an interesting sort of beautiful commentary about how you can't choose, you can't pick out the good memories from the bad ones. You know what I mean? Like, you have to either keep it all or get rid of it all. You can't just be like, oh no, I just want to remember the good things about this person, because you can't do that, because they're not good unless they're juxtaposed by the bad. And I really think that was kind of a cool storytelling device to kind of show the relationship backwards, and then having Joel realize like, oh dude, I don't want to lose these memories. There's some good ones in here. And basically the rest of the movie is him trying to save Clementine from being
deleted. Yeah. I thought it was really cool also how there were maybe 4 different times in the movie where you had to really question, did they meet twice?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, why is this something they had to meet twice? And you don't even get the assurance, like the confirmation that they met twice until like the last 10 minutes of the movie. And you're like, oh, they did. Oh,
that was the second time they met.
I was like almost out of my seat. Like, wait, what's going on? Yeah. So, I thought it was just brilliant. To take them through all of those phases, take them through all of those memories, take us through all of the memories, and essentially take the 2 of them away from each other, put them back together, not knowing what's going on, give them this marvelous cinematic Cinderella type re-meeting situation, spend the night together, you don't know what's going on. And then after Patrick, and so really quick on Patrick, I wasn't sure if Patrick was like a boyfriend, a husband, a brother. Was she going to go in the house and mom and dad were inside? Because the bright hair kind of threw me for a minute too. I was like, oh my God, please don't let this be what I think it is. And it wasn't. Good job, Hollywood.
I think that was a different time too.
Much different time.
Yeah, it was almost 20 years ago.
I'm just, I'm sorry. Like, it sucks. You have to question it now. You don't know. But without going too deep on that, what I loved was when they come back to where we pick up, where we finally realize, like, oh, that's how we got to there. Now we're at the beginning of the movie. She's trying to figure out what's going on. She's reading the paperwork. She reads the note, and by then we're aware of who Mary is. We know who the doctor is. We know everything. We know everything. And when we hear Mary's name, we, as fans, as people watching this movie, I know as soon as we all heard Mary's name, it was like, oh snap. Here we go.
Just blowing the lid off the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. And what I thought was very interesting was to take them back through basically re-hating each other. Like in a snap. It was like all those things you didn't like, here's your reminder.
Yeah.
And then he blows up, go to his house. Oh, all those things you didn't like, here's a reminder. Oh, I guess I was kind of a dick too. Yeah. Right. Well, before we get to the ending, I do want to mention again that Elijah Wood's a creep, and he was basically using Joel. Creep. He was using all of Joel's memories to try to woo over Clementine, and that was so gross, man. It was so gross.
Dude, you're making me very tempted to just change my background right now to that whole. That creep vibe with the glasses.
Totally.
Just to give people a peace of mind, like that creepy.
Yeah, totally. But I definitely liked the sort of Mark Ruffalo and Kirsten Dunst like being stoners and just dancing on top of Joel while he's sleeping.
An essential corpse.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought they were going to give him brain damage. Well.
I mean, they kind of do. Yeah, that's the process. Yeah.
I thought that was a great reveal as well.
Yeah, but is there anything we wanted to touch on before we talk about the end?
I do think the moment of Stan, Mark Ruffalo's character, and Patrick, when they broke in, like, so after we get that introduction, that brief moment of Patrick, and then we go to the flash. Later that night, we see Patrick and Stan break into Joel's apartment, and I didn't know what. I was like, oh shoot, this is about to turn into a murder flick. But how does and I was like, well, wait, Jim Carrey's character doesn't seem like the murdering type, so he can't when it dies. I like how you did that. So yeah, I was very curious as to what was going on there. Like, I was like, did the process go wrong? So I'm thinking the whole process happens at the job or at the lab.
I had the same feeling about that too.
I was thinking, like, did it go wrong? Yeah, thinking, did it go wrong? Are they trying to reverse it? Like, did something, maybe I was thinking that Stan was trying to, backlog, do negative effects to the doctor's work. I didn't know what that was about.
Right. Yeah. So they don't really explain that part. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I thought that was pretty cool for some reason. Like, when you see that truck, there's no explanation. You just see, Mark Ruffalo and Elijah Wood's characters just sitting there in the trailer, and they're like, "Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like,
Right.
and that's what made me start thinking, like, is it like seriously some type of like mental case? Then you don't get to start seeing things until then when he gets in the house and he starts talking about Valentine's Day. I'm like, so what the fuck happened to homegirl? And this dude is like popping pills. I'm like, is he sincerely imagining this chick? Like I was thinking at the beginning.
That's what I
thought. So I was just like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, and this was the era for kidnapping, torture in movies, even in comedies.
That's true. Yeah.
Even in comedies, action films, comedies, dramas, romance films, they all had it back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that is true, and everything had a twist, so that was a big thing too.
At least we got good twisties back then. I'm like, what the fuck are we watching now?
Oh, I know, right? Seriously,
we're watching the product of the great writers not going back to teach kids how to write, and they had to learn from people who were still, trying.
You know what? By you saying that, I went to school for writing, and I still do my own writing. And when I talk to a lot of people about movies, TV shows, and video games and things like that, or even comic books, people call me a snob. I'm like, I don't think I'm a snob. I think it's just we got a lot of bullshit. And, beyond, people trying to, I think the product of trying to be woke or trying to be politically correct, I think we had all that shit years ago. And it wasn't a big thing until maybe the last 5 years.
Okay.
And now I'm like, now you guys are just shitting out bullshit, shitting out shit that people may not want to see, but what they do want to see, you just kind of just piss all over it.
Yeah.
And this was refreshing for me.
For sure.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think I've said that on this show before. Like, creators are no longer allowed to create. You're allowed to make money, but you're not allowed to create. So you might as well make what's going to make money.
Right. And you got to imagine, like, this is almost a 20-year-old movie. It came out in 2004. I assumed that the budget was pretty low. This was more of an indie movie, especially I think it was Focus Films that made it. So back then they were actually an indie house. So it is nice to see like good storytelling. I think that we miss a lot of that.
You want to tell you, Nick, that brought up something to my attention because I remember there was a time in my life I was watching a lot of movies just like this, and it brought up some interesting memories for myself and experiences. So I was like, I've noticed a lot of these movies with this kind of tone and theme and everything. It's always been Focus Films. That's done these, and I'm like, some good shit.
They make some really good stuff, especially their earlier stuff. I mean, like they've become much bigger, so I don't know if I've seen all of their stuff, but their early stuff was very good. And I think, pardon me, I think A Beautiful Mind was a Focus picture too, which is a good Russell Crowe movie. But
before he was throwing shit at people, huh?
Before he was fighting people. So at the ending, basically, we find out that the first 15 minutes of the movie is actually the second time that Joel and Clementine had met each other at the end. So I don't know exactly how this works, but this is just what's up?
Maybe the third time.
Maybe
the third time. I thought about that.
We officially don't see them hook up after that whole beach party thing because they're just like, he just left. He said, he just left.
Technically just leaves.
That is true.
So then that means this is the third time. The second time would have been
at the bookstore. The second time was at the bookstore.
The bookstore would have been the second time. Good catch, Dejan. You're absolutely right.
And that you just brought another one. And I'm just thinking about it. It was like, so the bookstore, you think about it, she was like, well, I remember you from somewhere, like Barnes and Noble. And I'm like, fucking full circle on that. Like she remembers. So like you guys were saying about the fucking memory being healed. So it's like, wow, that just brought some fucking light onto that.
See, great movies do that. We're gonna be doing this for the next few days. We might have to do a follow-up episode. Who knows?
Right. Yes, totally. Well, and so like they basically find out that they erased each other, and that's when Keelan had mentioned that they were listening to the tapes of all of the crap that they were talking about each other.
Right.
And basically, like this is another thing where it's like this is what happens in relationships sometimes. And like if you allow those things to become bigger, then they become the only things that you think about. And so I think that it's really kind of interesting because as far as they're concerned, they had just met each other, but according to what actually happens, they've known each other and been dating for, quite some time. And it's weird to see like where, like you're listening to yourself talk crap about somebody you just met who you think is really, really awesome. And you see them do that where it's like, Joel's like, I don't think of that about you, I promise. And it's just like, wow, right. And so basically the movie is left off with them kind of saying, well, let's give it another go. And we may end up just repeating the same pattern, but why not? And I think that's kind of a really good note to fall back on and to kind of end with. To be honest, at least in my opinion, it's like, why not just give it a shot? You don't know, maybe it could end up in disaster like it did before, but maybe not.
I think it might end up better than what it was because I felt like Joel basically gave himself therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it seemed like she was giving it her all. She was really, since she was very spontaneous and just the polar opposite, she basically gave him that 110% that your partner can give you, but he was just so closeted regardless to it, or just brushed it off. And I think he really realized that, like, dude, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And
he definitely did. Yeah.
Fix this. And I think you end up seeing it more because it definitely finally changed him, not knowing how long their relationship was, but you finally see it with him, jumping on that train, being supposedly spontaneous, to go back to that place and meet up with her, take that chance. And then him in a car, when she gets back in the car from getting her shit, he's like, well, fuck it. Like, fuck that. Let's fuck all that. Like, he's actually spewing out profanity. Right. Something that you hear in his tape where he's like annoyed at the idea everything that comes out from her vocabulary is profanity.
Right.
But it's something he's adopted. It's like, loosen the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of now, it's like rooted in him now. I mean, not rooted, but it helped him. So I think it would be a different take on their relationship for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe her being a little bit more, I would probably say sympathetic, but I'm trying to understand him. But I got a theory when we get to the end of everything about that and what I would love to see in an interesting way.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that it, even with her, I think it made her a little more thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing again, like how she thought about him and realizing, like, wait, oh shit, he just thinks shit through before he do it. Like,
yeah.
Okay, wait, let me step back. That means he actually wants me to make it through this with him? Did I? Oh, okay.
And maybe me being impulsive isn't exactly the best thing at all times,
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that honesty is the key to everything, like in life, for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was also a huge trope at the end, like just a huge like glob of like, here's some real life facts for you. Because after they accepted the honest truth, is just like you just said, Nick, their only choice was to make new memories.
Yeah.
That was it was like, okay, hey, those memories clearly weren't good enough. Let's make better ones.
Yeah.
You know? And it's something I'm very curious about. Same with Dejan, when we get to that very ending, I want to discuss timeline with you guys. Like, what do you think how long do you think this was?
Well, yeah, let's get into it. I mean, we basically
I'm interested in that.
Yeah, we basically wrapped up the last scene. So let's jump into the side conversations, you guys. Dejan, you want to start?
I would say I was going to kind of wait for this with the whole, like, what we would give it. But that would probably throw into a longer discussion. But I'll say this. if I was to see a sequel, which I'm not a fan of certain movies being a sequel or prequels to certain things, I would love to kind of see like a sequel / prequel-ish type movie for this, not from with Clementine's perspective, from maybe the second time they met and they officially start getting together, and the shit that drew her to him and the things that she was going through amongst that. What kind of discoveries did she make in her relationship with him, and within her mind when things were getting erased? And I would love to see like Elijah Wood and fucking Mark Ruffalo and them all reprise those roles just to see him steal the panties and shit.
Yeah.
But like he said, they were clean.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That makes it better.
And just go through that whole tidbit of shit along with it. It seemed, and this is why I'm curious to see that in a movie or so, for the simple reason that it seems like she was going through some trauma herself after the procedure, and you could see she was just fucking freaking out, and just she's like, and she was just like, she wanted to go back to these certain places, she wanted to do these certain things again, but at the same time, she was like, Elijah Wood's character was just like Patrick. He was just like, I'm gonna steal this dude's identity and just try to do it better, in a shittier, slimier way too. And she just knew this shit was not right. Yeah. So I definitely would like to see what had happened, or give her the incentive, like, yeah, I'm a little bit insensitive, and I got to try to understand and try to do it in a better way to understand him as an individual. Just like you could probably open up for him to try to understand me more. I mean, that's what I would like to see if they had another movie for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be kind of an interesting take. We don't get to see much of Clementine's thought process. She's kind of just she's the impetus for Joel to do the thing. But yeah, I mean, I would be interested in that. She definitely knew something was going on after she had did it, and she definitely knew that things were off. So it would have been interesting to kind of see it from her perspective as well. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see another Eternal Sunshine. I don't know if we'll ever get it. Maybe that's kind of what makes it such a great movie, is that it's a one and done deal. But I wouldn't mind expanding on the concept at all. Definitely.
Yes, if they do it. Hey, they need to do it while everybody's still alive.
Right, that is fair.
That's fucked up to say, but yes.
Yeah. This is definitely something I could see Jim Carrey wanting to reprise. For the times we're in specifically. Oh, why not?
Right. And Keelan, you said you wanted to talk about timelines?
Yeah, so I wanted to just ask you guys, how long do you think this was, like timeline wise? Because I was able to put together somewhat of a timeline. And like I said, that's what made Valentine's Day so important, because I tried to figure out how many Valentine's Day had come up.
I think I know the answer to this, and it's
1 year.
It's actually in the beginning. He writes in his journal, and he says, apparently it's been 2 years since I've written in my journal. And that's how you know. Yeah. So basically, because he had to tear out all those pieces in his journal, and he was like, and then he's like, oh, I guess it's been 2 years since I've written in my journal. So yeah.
Wow, you're absolutely right. And it's crazy because I figured 2 years by counting the Valentine's days, but
right. Yeah.
I was sitting here assuming like 1 year. I'm like,
because you have the Valentine's Day they met on. You have the Valentine's Day that they got into it, and then you have the Valentine's Day they got back together.
Yeah.
So that's 2 years.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I could dig it.
It's crazy how I came to that, and it's like, oh no, it was in like the first 3 minutes, bro. Yeah.
Well, that's the great thing about movies like this too, that leave Easter eggs of different types. You know what I mean? Where you can pick up the threads different ways. You don't have to just pick up one thread. You can, add those things together and get your answers as well. So, yeah. Okay. Well, shall we get into our final? Yes. All right. Let's get into our reviews, our final grades, our scores.
Last minute comments?
Yes, absolutely. Last minute comments.
All right. I went first last time. I'm not going first today. I'm going last. No, I'll go second.
I could go first. I don't mind. Yeah, since
Yeah,
I've seen,
we'll just do it like this: 1, 2, 3.
yeah, all at once.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've seen this before. It's hands down, I think, within my top 3 favorite movies for sure. I adore this movie, from the direction to the writing to the acting, to just the concept alone. I think that it's really unique, and it's a really kind of a beautiful piece about the complexity of love and relationships. You know, like we like to pretend that love is all about happy endings, and like that it's a fairy tale the whole way through, but there's real struggle in there, and sometimes the struggle is what adds the beauty to it. What makes the relationship like unique and special. I think that if you were in a relationship in which you didn't have some conflict, you'd probably be bored.
Right.
Like it wouldn't be as deep as it could possibly be. And so with that said, I think Jim Carrey's one of my favorite Jim Carrey roles. Maybe I think it is my favorite, and then maybe The Truman Show after that. But there's very little else that shows a better Jim Carrey, in my opinion. I love Kate Winslet as well. I think she's a tremendous actress. So this is getting a 9 for me. It's getting a 9 for me. I think that's my highest rating so far. I leave 1 point because I don't know if I can call it a perfect movie. I think that that's kind of a big statement, but it's damn near close to perfect. So
Definitely. I'm in full agreement with everything you said. I, like DeJohn said earlier, haven't seen a movie in a long time that really gave me everything this gave me. Again, it gave me the breakups, the breakthroughs, and the breakdowns. It gave me the smiles, the giggles. I cried. I teared up. I have a rule: if it's not more than 6 tears, I didn't cry. I teared up.
That's right.
And it was only one. Actually, no, it was 2. It was 2. I got 2.
It was two.
But I wanted more. Like I was ready for more. It was that much. It was that serious. And I was also a little upset at myself and at everyone I knew, like really in existence, because I was like, how did no one ever tell me about this Jim? Jim. Yes, I did it that way. But no, really, like I was really confused on how I never heard of this movie. And then I realized it wasn't that I hadn't heard of this movie. This was one of those films that I heard about, and I was like, oh man, I want to see that. Like I've never seen Jim Carrey do anything like that. And I was just waiting, I guess, for other people to catch on or what, and it never happened. And I understand why now, because this will go above so many people's heads, because I think the first step to understanding this movie is just a key of honesty. Like I said a little earlier, honesty is the key to a lot. Just a key of honesty of realizing no one's perfect. And it took them an hour and 109 minutes to realize that no one's perfect. And it's just amazing. It takes some people a lifetime. So that's one thing I definitely took from this movie, and I loved to see that in a movie. I loved the intricacy, like I said, of the editing and everything within that. One more thing that I thought was very pivotal. I don't think I've seen, and this could honestly be ever. Ooh, geez. Nah, I'm sure it's not ever, but I'm just going to say for what I've seen, right? I don't think I've ever seen a movie that gives you all of the standard like build up for like just beautiful romance, but gives you the complexities of real life with it to make it that much better of a story. Because they could have really just like, oh, it went bad and and that was just all roses, and they didn't. I appreciated that.
Definitely.
And because of that, I am on par with you, Nick. I want to give it a 9.5 or a 10, but again, we have to leave some room for error. So this gets a solid 9 for me as well.
Nice.
I really don't know what we could choose that would get it any higher. So I guess 9 will probably be my highest rating for a long time. But we'll see. Hey, this was a pleasant surprise. I am grateful.
It's definitely gonna hold the title, perhaps. One thing before we get to Dijon, I just wanted to mention, because I forgot to mention it. One of my favorite scenes in the entire movie is when they're in the Barnes and Noble, and at the end, and they're just having that conversation, and all of the books start to blink out to blank. Man, that little detail, for some reason, it just like it threw me when I realized it. When I started picking up, like, oh, all the books are starting to fade out. and then at the end of the scene, all the books are just blank.
Right. With you bringing that up, because that is also one of my favorite scenes. And I'm sorry, Dejan, that we
sorry,
in front of your rating. How early into that? Nice. How early did you notice?
It kind of took me a few seconds because there was different angles in which you could really see when it was happening. But over the shoulder, when Joel was on camera, you could really see it because the books behind him started to disappear.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
So, well, do you remember that scene, Dejan? How soon did you notice?
Just now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just now. This is why I'm loving this, because there's certain things. I mean, I literally just watched it about 2 hours ago now, and my thing is just like, it's a lot for me since I just watched it. I was telling my wife, I'm like, fuck, this is a lot to process. So this is great. It's helping me process. I want to watch it again now.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. I think I might have about 4 hours since I finished it, maybe 5. So I'm not too far in front of you, but I understand it's definitely more time to process.
Well, and if you notice too, Elijah Wood's character in Jim Carrey's head is always obscured
until the final,
because he doesn't know what he looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he keeps trying to make
one time.
Right. Which I just love. I love those little details.
Yeah, I thought that was a crazy, but again, just attention to detail. The clippings. So the clippings of the way they were editing things out, I had caught it so like, I had caught it a little earlier, like a few visions before that one, a few memories before the bookstore at least. And so by the time he got into the bookstore, there were literally patterns on the floor started disappearing. Things in the background started disappearing. Like things that you wouldn't even really be paying attention to. And right before he gets to her, the patterns on the floor kind of all go flat. Like it turns like a really flat before you no longer see the floor. Then I noticed the signs on the top, like on the where the aisles were gone. And I was like, oh shit. And I seen it. And that's when it finally registered what I was seeing. I was like, oh, shoot. And a little bit later, my wife goes, are the books, is that disappearing behind them? And I was like, yeah, you just now caught that. And I realized, I was like, oh, wait, I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying, like, it was blowing my mind to where my brain was processing it. And I was wondering if I was even paying attention to the dialogue anymore. Because I was so taken back by that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. This is, I mean, like, this just goes to show you how well a director can portray an idea, because you think about it, like, this is the last time they're really having like a conversation with each other, not the second to last time, but you can really tell like the urgency, because everything just starts blinking out and starts going blank, and it's like you get that illustration of like how precious memories are and how they can kind of just disappear really easily.
Right.
Yeah.
That in the final house scene where she tells him, instead of leaving, couldn't we just talk about it? And it's like, oh man, that and truthfully, that's where they started running down my face, man.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so sad. Yeah, like what if you stayed? Yeah.
Yeah, you stay for one, see what happens.
Right. All right, Deshaun, we blabbered on too much. You're
back on the plank, buddy.
This shit is great. I'm loving this.
Plank.
Yeah. Donuts.
I'm giving it a second donut.
It's back.
Nice. Second
the deliciousness continues.
That's double deliciousness. Hell yeah.
I'm giving it a 10.
Oh,
nice. You went there. You went there.
It came with the second donut.
It came with the second donut.
All the discussion made me bring out the second donut and say perfection.
Awesome.
Can I?
Slow clap. That deserves a slow clap. That's our first 10, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's pretty amazing. Yeah. I didn't go 10 because I didn't want to seem biased, but I definitely agree with you, man. I definitely agree with you.
This could have definitely got a perfect 30.
Yeah. Wait till we do the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, right.
Everywhere.
It will
It's
get
all
nowhere
the
near.
10.5,
Nowhere
baby.
10.5. Yeah, you can
Nowhere
get extra
near.
credit.
You will get a 6.5 out of me.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm be pounding sand for real.
Oh my god.
Right.
Oh my god.
Oh, awesome. Well, I mean, that basically rounds out our average to about a 9.5 or a 9. So,
Yeah.
The
you know,
highest.
like, and is our
28
that's
flat,
our
20 out of
highest.
30.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Sonic.
Bye, Sonic.
Bye, Sonic.
You got booted. But yeah.
Sorry, Robotnik.
Yeah. Hey, well, it's
Jim,
still
you
Jim
outdid
Carrey.
Jim.
I was just
Yeah.
about saying it's a Jim Carrey movie. Isn't that something? Maybe
Yeah.
the next near perfect or actual perfect we get is Sonic 2, another Jim Carrey film.
Maybe we'll have to find out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We very much appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We certainly did, and we very much enjoyed Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Be sure to go check that out. It is on Amazon, but I would just rent it because unless you want to watch
Buy it if you can find it.
or buy it if you can find it. Yes, unless you want to watch 6 like 4-minute ads, it's not really worth it. It kind of became a pain. Yeah.
Can I say I'm with DeJohn. I'm going to rewatch this like in the next few days, if not probably tonight. I'm gonna pay. I should have paid the first time because I want to know if I'm gonna get more than 6. I mean, yeah, if I'm gonna get more than 6 tears for a real cry.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of break in the emotional
momentum.
attachments.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you don't break that, I'm almost sure. And this isn't just for me. Like I am not a big emotional person. So when I find something that touches me that deep, where it's like, yo, I totally understand what you're feeling right now. And that would destroy me. It's more so that it's not like a sad. It's just like yo, that would destroy me.
Yeah. It sounded like this movie was very molesting to you.
It definitely took advantage of my feelings in a way that I can appreciate.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. But yeah, thank you guys. We very much appreciate it. Again, please go watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. If you haven't, if you have, we hope that you enjoyed this review. Please stay tuned for our next episode on Wednesday at 8 p.m. We are on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. every week. So be sure to check in with us on Wednesday for our next episode. We will find out what we'll be reviewing shortly. And if you want to check out what Keelan does on his podcast, If Numbers Could Talk, he talks about sports, he talks about pop culture, he talks about lots of different types of statistics. If you are interested in getting the data about your favorite things, go check him out on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. If Numbers Could Talk. He has a Facebook page and a YouTube page. He's also on the Thinkering Talks page. Please make sure you check him out. I also got a podcast on Monday and Friday nights at 8 p.m. If you, it's called Exofathom. If you'd like to check that out, please do. I have a Facebook page and a YouTube page. But if you're a purist and just want to hear us blabber on about movies, thank you so much. And thanks for taking this trip through the Screen Time Continuum with us. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
And I am Keelan.
And I am the mustard.
Good night, everyone.
Mustard on a donut.
Yeah.